I'm here right now with the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Cole Hatter. Some of you guys might be familiar with him. He's the founder of the Thrive event. Sold over 100 million just from stage alone. I'm not talking about any of his other products or online things. He runs a digital marketing agency, and he has a huge background in real estate. And I believe you collaborated with Tai on real estate before. Yep. That's actually where I first saw you. So a lot of you guys might recognize him. You're partners with Tai Lopez. And we're going to just be talking today, getting to know each other a little bit. It's a very informal podcast. We're going to be reading some of you guys' comments, some of you guys' questions that you may have for me or may have for Cole. He's also going to be speaking at the M3 Accelerator event that's going down in Las Vegas, March 9th, March 10th. So we'll just go ahead and get this thing rolling. We met once before. Yep. So this is only our second interaction. So I'm going to be learning about him just as much as you guys are as well. Let's see the comments real quick. Yo, you want to hide the chat or move the camera up a little bit? People are saying it's covering our face a little bit. Or maybe just angle it up a little bit more. Push it back.
Oh, the comments. Got
yeah.
Okay.
Yo, is that better? Can you guys see?
Hold on.
We want to make sure our faces are like higher up.
There we go, like that.
Yeah. All right, you guys having can you guys see better now?
Oh yeah, that's low now.
Okay, that should work. Set more down still. You guys move that up.
Yeah, I don't know if that'll. You know what you might have to do is, or did you already do it?
Let's already send it out.
Yeah. My other one actually rotates.
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't like us anymore.
But that should be good enough.
All right, you guys might have to just deal with it a little bit.
Yeah.
Looks like you're not in it quite as much there. Let's just grind, bro.
All right, move the phone up a little bit. Slide the phone up through the thing.
Well, that'll bring your heads lower.
Oh, okay, right on.
You know what you could do is just put something under that back leg of the tripod right there, and it'll lean forward a little bit too.
Okay.
Like a remote control maybe. Oh yeah, that bag, whatever. Cool. All right.
All right, real quick, so we're going to get this thing started. If you guys have questions, go ahead and start commenting. We'll kind of answer them randomly throughout the live feed. So go ahead and ask questions. All right, yeah. Okay, that's better. I think I see now. All right, cool. So first things first, we met one time through Ryan. Mm-hmm. And just so you guys know, this guy's very well connected in entrepreneur space. Right when we got here, he missed a call from Ed Milet. Talked to people like Gary Vee. I told you guys he's collaborated and partnered up with Tai Lopez. So you've been around the block. You know a lot of people that are killing it. What's kind of like your background, your story, how you got involved with this space to become like who you are today?
Sure. So I was actually a firefighter. I graduated high school, decided I want to be a firefighter. So I went straight into an academy, was working for a fire department, and then off duty I got in a car accident with a couple of my buddies. And off duty matters because I was actually ejected out of the car and got very hurt. They had to land a helicopter on the freeway and rush me to the hospital in a helicopter.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I wasn't supposed to survive. I had a crazy brain injury. I had a traumatic brain injury, and I had a spinal contusion, so I couldn't walk for a while. I was in a wheelchair.
How long ago was this?
2004.
Wow.
And so, yeah, I was a brand new firefighter. I was, this 19-year-old, got my dream job, and then boom, game over. And so, you can't be a firefighter from a wheelchair. And that's when I had to figure out something new. And because I was off duty and it didn't happen with the fire department, it was my fault, right? So, I mean, obviously the fire department was like sympathetic to my situation, but I wasn't like, I was still getting paid on disability or something. It was my fault. So I had to pick a new career. Actually, I had to literally move back into my mom and dad's house because I was so hurt after the accident I couldn't even feed myself.
Oh, shit.
And when I was learning how to walk again, I had like these cane and this like walker thing to get my legs strong. And I was making a round in my parents' cul-de-sac. Like, literally, I would go to physical therapy, and I would have to practice walking, you know what I'm saying, to, learn how to walk again. And this one family, they had a big baller house and nice cars, and they were always around. Everyone else's houses were empty because they were at work. This family was always there. And they were a younger family, probably a 7-8-year-old boy. Maybe they were in their late 30s at the time, and I'm 20 or whatever.
Right.
And so, relatively young again. And I asked them what they did. It was the wife one day. And she told me they were real estate investors, that she was a realtor, that he was an investor, and that she really was a stay-at-home mom but helped him part-time, and they were balling. And so I was like, screw it. I don't know if I'll ever be healthy enough to be a firefighter again.
Right.
Can't be a firefighter from a wheelchair. So, but I can flip houses.
Right.
And so I decided to pursue real estate investing in 2005. I was in the right place at the right time. Freaking killed it, because 2005, 6, and 7, our economy was booming. Real estate was booming. The people I was flipping my houses to were getting stated income, stated asset loans, so they didn't have, like, anybody could qualify for a mortgage. So,
Right.
you know, now I'm 22 years old, making 6 figures a month. Not every month, but having 6-figure months, right?
Right, right.
And my dad was my business partner, and we were laughing our whole way to the bank, because as a firefighter, I was making $42,000 a year.
Yeah, yeah.
And now we're making $100,000 every flip, and we're flipping a lot of houses.
Okay. You doing like fix and flips or just more wholesale?
Nope, all fix and flips.
Okay.
Buy, fix, and flip. And so my dad and I are laughing our way to the bank. 2007 turned into 2008. The recession came. We lost everything. I ended up moving to Mexico and started an orphanage down there. Was a missionary for about 10 months.
Why do you move to Mexico?
A couple of reasons. Number one, my business had crashed.
Right.
Number two, my girlfriend and I at the time, who's now my wife, by the way, we broke up for reasons she always wants me to be clear. It has nothing to do with finances, because she's like, you make me sound like a gold digger. We were together, you went broke, and I dumped you. But she wanted to, we had been dating for 2 years. She wanted, like, there to be an option for marriage. She wasn't looking for a proposal, but she's like, are you ever going to marry me? And I was like, nah. Because I went through some stuff. I didn't mention this, but in that car accident, like, I lost people. I was in a couple of accidents where I was the only survivor.
Oh, wow.
And so I was convinced that anyone I would love would die. And so although my girlfriend at the time was amazing, I was afraid that if I ever married her or had kids with her, they would die too. Obviously, I'm through that now. But when I was 20-ish or however old I was like 24 at this time, I was like, dude, you're amazing. I'll be faithful to you, but I just can't marry you. And then she's basically like, I appreciate that, but, like, I don't want to spend my time with someone where there's no future. So so we broke up. So the fact that my girlfriend dumped me, my business sucked, I just said screw everything. I moved to Mexico, became a missionary, started helping people in Mexico, started my orphanage, came home 10 months later, asked my ex-girlfriend to marry me without even dating her again, and she said yes, and that's my wife that's 30 feet away now.
Wow.
And we have our 2 little girls. It's amazing. Started from zero once again, and then went on to make tens of millions of dollars. And so that was 2011. I came back from Mexico 2011, got married right away, really started my businesses 2012, and again started making millions of dollars. And so it's still real estate investing, but in more verticals than just fixing and flipping homes. Also, like you said, have my marketing agency, have Thrive, and a lot of stuff.
So when you got back in real estate, was that like commercial, or was it like, you know, actual houses, residential?
So when I first got started, it was right back to what I knew: buy, fix, and flip. And then now it's a bit diversified, where I'm still flipping. We're flipping a couple of houses right here in Orange County right now. Got a little bit in the wholesale game. My wife actually just wholesaled her first house, which is cool. Oh, wow. She netted like $23,000 on it, so she's stoked. The property she's never even seen in her life in Ohio. And so wholesaling, fix and flip, and then buying and holding commercial apartment buildings, like multifamily, in the Midwest.
Wow, that's fucking, that's crazy.
Yeah, so I'll always be in the real estate game. And for those of you that are watching, there's 3 types of money to make in real estate. There's active income, there's passive income, and then there's interest income. And I do not think that everybody should make active income. That's fixing and flipping or wholesaling in real estate. It's not a fit for everybody. However, I think that everybody should buy and hold and have passive income. So let's just say that you're an e-com guy and a course creator, and for the time it would take you to learn how to flip houses, you might as well just start 3 more Shopify stores and just grind. But what you do with that money, you shouldn't follow. You mentioned my buddy Tai. You shouldn't just follow that. Not that Tai does this, but like buy Lambos and rent big houses. He also invests in real estate, as you've seen in social media. But what anybody should do is take the money they're making and buy and hold in real estate, because that's where wealth is created. And so, like, you know, whether it's Shopify, e-com, digital marketing, doesn't matter where your income comes from. The world is always changing, and that income can go away. The question is, what did you do with the money while you had it? And the problem I see with a lot of guys in your generation is you're real great at creating cash flow quickly, because you understand the internet, you understand social media, you understand that stuff, and have these products that blow up and make hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars, and then go and have fun with it, and then that product doesn't work anymore, and now you're having to work to keep paying for the lifestyle. Where what I always say is, dude, live your dream life. We're sitting in my movie theater. Like, I live my dream life. But I bought a bunch of real estate that pays for the dream life. And so kind of the mindset is, if you really want a Lambo, don't go buy a Lambo with the money you make in your Shopify store. I'm just using e-com as an example. Go buy an apartment building with the money you make in your Shopify store. And now that apartment building The cash flow from that will pay for 10 Lambos.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if your Shopify store goes away, that product goes away, Facebook changes their rules. Like, you used to be able to do a lot of advertising. You can't anymore for
Right, all
like
compliance
print on
stuff.
demand, right?
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
it used to say like Hatter does it best in the sweatshirt. You know what I'm
Oh,
talking
yeah,
about?
yeah,
You
yeah.
can't do that anymore. Or birthdays in April. My birthday's in April. So birthdays in April are the best birthdays. Like, I don't know if you ever saw that.
Right.
But for the print on demand industry, they could literally see that my birthday was April, my last name was Hatter, and custom image things that had Hatter or Cole, my name on it. That's not, Facebook changed their terms of condition. You can't do that anymore. So all those people that were making millions of dollars there, it went away overnight.
Yeah.
And if all those guys took all their money and bought crap with it, they're screwed.
Yeah.
What if instead they bought apartment buildings with it? That went away. What do they care? They're cash flowing $100,000 a month from real estate.
Right, yeah, exactly.
So that's the big thing while I've got your audience's attention is, dude, go make stupid amounts of money, however you want to make it legally, of course. When I say however, don't go sell drugs. But make a ton of money and then have fun, but go buy these cash-producing assets, these multi-family apartment buildings, and then let those things finance your Lambos and your mansions and all that other crap.
Right. So when did you start getting involved in like the online space, building your brand? Because I know you have the event. How many people come to Thrive?
1,500.
So about 1,500 people come to the Thrive event. Like, how did you build that credibility? How did you network your way into having relationships with people like Ed Milet, Tai Lopez,
Yeah.
Gary Vee, and building your brand and having people respect and watch your stuff as well?
So there's a lot there. I started it the hardest way possible. I made all my money offline, buying, fixing, and flipping houses. I didn't even have an Instagram account until 2014.
Right.
Like, I didn't need any online presence at all. I didn't have a public Facebook page, and my personal Facebook page had like 1,200 friends, and I knew them all. Like that's me just following aunts, uncles, friends, cousins, their family, etc. And so when I did Thrive for the first time, I had 0 list, 0 audience, 0 anything, and just good old-fashioned hustle. And my network at the time, I knew like John Lee Dumas and Lewis Howes.
Okay.
So I asked both of them for an intro to Gary Vee. I got an intro to Gary Vee. I asked him to speak at Thrive, and I paid him to, and he said yes. And then once I had Gary Vee and we started promoting that, then all these speakers came at me and said, let me speak, let me speak, let me speak.
Okay.
And then we ended up building a really great speaker lineup. And then I also reached out to Robert Herjavec from Shark Tank, paid him to come. He said yes. So once I had Gary Vaynerchuk and Robert Herjavec, at the time they were both cold. I met them for the first time at my event. Oh, that's not true. I did a promo video like this beforehand, but met them at the Thrive and then built friendships with them beyond that. But once I had those 2 names on my website, then all the other speakers wanted to come, and we had a badass speaker lineup that first year. So then all the people came. We had about 450 people at Thrive #1, and that was it, dude. I literally had 0 email. I didn't have any online presence. The first dollar I ever made online was selling the very first ticket to Thrive.
Wow.
And then that's all I did until about 2017. It was just me making all my money offline and real estate and things like that. And then in the online space, it was just selling tickets to Thrive. And then I realized I was missing out on a lot of opportunity. And quite frankly, it was just an ego.
Right.
Because I see so many total dumbasses out there, like buying an iPhone on the financed plan because they can't even afford to pay cash for it in their mother's basements, creating courses saying, hey, pay me and I'll teach you how to go from 6 to 7 figures. It's like, if one more person sends me an advertisement that they're going to teach me how to go from 6 to 7 figures, I've been making 7 figures since 2012, right? But bottom line is, I see all these just idiots that don't really know what they're doing, and so I didn't want anything to do with the space.
Right.
I was like, dude, I've been making millions of dollars the real way. I don't need to hustle people out of their hard-earned cash to buy a get-rich-quick program.
Right.
So I avoided making any money online like the plague. And then I realized as I got to meet legitimate business people who create content set online, like Stuman, and like Tai and guys like that, I was like, you know what? My ego's cost me millions.
Yeah.
Because with what I've done to generate millions in my life, if I share that information, it's worth a lot of money to people.
Right.
And so started venturing into the online space really 2017. And as of this very second, don't even have a product online of my own. I've partnered with guys like Tai. We have our real estate. If any of you ever bought Tai's real estate or saw him advertising his real estate course, it's just me. It's 72 videos of me. He's not even in the course, but he promotes it. So we did a JV.
Yeah.
He has the audience. I have the information. I created the content. He sold it. We split it. And so I realized that my ego was costing me a lot of opportunity. So I just was like, I don't want to be guilty by association. But at the same time, it's like, dude, I make enough money in the real world. Kind of like Grant Cardone.
Yeah.
Nobody looks at Grant Cardone as like an internet spammer because he has so much money in legitimate business.
Right.
The fact that he sells Cardone University and all these online courses, people don't put him in the category of those online marketing douchebags.
Yeah.
Because he owns $1 billion worth of real estate, has a real company of 100 employees, and actually has money. And so you know, not to pat myself on the back, but I feel like I'm more in that category that I make millions of dollars without needing the internet at all.
Right.
And so as this year I venture into really providing some opportunity for people to learn, etc., I don't really have a conflict with it anymore. So that was a long answer, but
Right.
just trying to be transparent with the audience that, like, you know, if somebody out there is making money and you know that you can too, and you're kind of judging the industry, at the end of the day, it just matters what's in your bank account.
Right.
And that you're being ethical and honest with what you're creating. Don't rip people off. But, you know, I there's less money in my bank account than there would have been if I didn't have an ego.
Yeah. You know, I feel like, you know, when you actually have something that can actually help people, you know, get results, and, like, you know, not that many people know it, that more you have, like, a moral obligation to actually share it, because you have all these other people who are selling shit that doesn't work, selling things that, you know, the policies are, you know, over-promising, under-delivering, that type of shit.
Right.
And if you have these people at the top of the game, and, you know, the only people kind of representing, you know, what it actually, you know, takes to learn how to build a business or learn how to make money or whatever it is, then it's like you're just setting up the next, you know, generation for failure.
Dude, it's actually speaking of Grant, it was actually him that said something that really inspired me to get into the space. And I was having the same conversation with him. I was like, Grant, you're legit, but everyone else isn't, and I don't want to look like everyone else. And then he looked me right in the face and he said, are you a better real estate investor than those guys? I said, hell yeah, because I actually invest in real estate. Most of them don't. They just sell real estate courses.
Right.
And he said, by you not creating something, you're having them have to go buy from those douchebags
Right.
that aren't real. And so by you not creating content, you're actually, on behalf of those people, making their mind up for them to go buy from someone who's not as educated, not as experienced as you are.
Right.
And by you creating an opportunity for them to learn from you, you're actually doing them a service. So now they're not spending their money with someone who sucks and actually with someone who's made millions of dollars in real estate. And I was like, dude, I never even thought about it that way.
Yeah.
That by me not creating opportunity for people to learn, and, you know, I'm not necessarily going to go launch a real estate course tomorrow, but this was the context of Uncle G and I talking.
Right.
I was like, dude, if I don't start creating stuff as just an option in the marketplace,
Yeah.
then I'm dooming those people to only have the options of, and there's some great guys out there,
Yeah.
obviously, creating good content, but it seems like the majority of who I get targeted by, I know them in the real world. I mean, there's
Yeah.
people who call me, or I'll meet at a conference, and they're broke. Like, they're like, dude, I'm scraping by, and then I'll hit their website to maybe help them with some ideas, and then I get targeted in their ads because they pixeled me because I hit their website.
Yeah.
And then they're like, join my mastermind. I'm going to show you how to get rich. And it's like, dude, I was with you last night, and you were telling me how you're broke. And now that I went to your website, I'm being targeted by your ads, and you're telling me how you're rich and you want to teach me how to get rich.
Right.
And it's like, oh, God, you idiot. But
Yeah, that makes
it
sense.
is what it is.
That makes sense. Let me see if there's any good questions real quick. Someone says, what's been your worst obstacle throughout your career? I feel like you kind of answered that yesterday or earlier.
I would say my worst obstacle in my career,
Like how you got through it?
yeah, so I would say the recession. For a lot of you might have still been in junior high school when that happened. I was early 20s when 2008 came and, again, lost everything. And so that was a huge challenge because it was mostly a mindset blow.
Right.
The reality is, and what I'm going to talk about at your event, is you can actually make more money in an economic downturn than even in the upswing. There's actually more opportunity, but people don't know that. And so for me, the biggest obstacle was getting back in the game. I was convinced that I just wasn't an entrepreneur, or that if I got started again, I would lose all. Like, it was such a mental blow, not just financial. It was
Yeah.
like a mental blow. So to answer the question of what's the biggest obstacle, the obstacle was psyching myself back into the game.
Right.
I was a missionary in Mexico, building houses for homeless families, surfing, and running my orphanage. That is it. I turned my back on business. I left, the girlfriend again that dumped me. All that, moved to Mexico, and all I did all day was surfed, ate tacos, built houses for homeless families with the nonprofit I was working for, and ran my orphanage. And that
Right.
is it. And the 11 months previous to shutting my business down, I was losing everything. I was selling my wakeboard boat, selling my Escalade, moving out of my Newport Beach house. I was on the
Right.
peninsula, not on the Newport coast, but right on the peninsula. Like,
Right.
I was downsizing everything. So it was like a painful 11 months of losing everything and then going to Mexico to be a missionary. When I came back to America, the thought of trying business again, the biggest obstacle was the mental mindset of, like, I can do this and I can be successful.
Yeah.
So, and the answer of how did I get through that was, dude, I just had to go. Like, I just had to start, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. You can sit there and, like, be afraid of swimming, or you can just, like, jump in the pool and figure it out. And
Yeah.
so that was what I did. There wasn't, like, a Bible verse or a quote from a book or a conversation over a cup of coffee that re-inspired me to go for it. I just had to because I was going to starve to death and needed to pay my bills.
Yeah.
And then once I got in, I was like, okay, this isn't that bad, and it all worked out.
Yeah, I feel like the biggest thing, and that's for me as well, is like it's the mental thing. You know, like you're about to get to that next level. And I feel like it always happens when you're like about to get to that next level. Like when something's like way, way out your comfort zone, and in your head you're having all these second thoughts, like, should I really do this? Is this the right move?
Right.
You know, if I do this and I like fuck up, you know, how is that gonna affect my entire life?
Right.
And I feel like a lot of people, they allow that to, you know, not get started, not even try, and they fucking lose because they don't even try.
Right.
You know, instead of failing. So for me, personally, I kind of just put my back against the wall is what I say.
Yeah.
I don't give myself another option, you know?
That's totally, dude, it's so funny. My wife and I were just having that conversation recently. She said that's always when I do my best.
Yeah.
And I've got this cushy thing out there where someone pays me a lot of money in a contract to do stuff for them. But within that, there's a non-compete agreement.
Right.
And so it's been incredibly lucrative for me. But within that non-compete, it obviously limits my other options.
Right.
And she's like, dude, you just need to walk away from that. Because in that part of your life, it'll put your back against the wall and you'll create amazing things. And
Right.
like when you have an option to procrastinate, when it's like, oh, I got to start a new business, but I got $1 million in my checking account. Screw it, I'll start in March. I'm gonna go travel in February.
Yeah.
But then when it's like, holy crap, I've got like 11 days left until I'm not eating food anymore.
Yeah.
That's a lot of times where magic happens.
Yeah.
But dude, mindset's an important part of the game. And you said, you know, so many people are afraid of failing. I realized, and hopefully this resonates with some of your audience, that I was more afraid of wondering than actually failing. Like, if that makes sense. So, not trying at all, and then 10 years later looking back, wondering if I had tried, would I have made it, was a scarier thought than trying and failing.
Right. No, that makes sense.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so for any of you that are watching this or listening to this right now, if you're in that position where it's like, man, I've always wanted to start my own digital marketing agency, but I'm afraid it's going to fail. Well, I would challenge you to say, it would be a way worse experience to wonder the rest of your whole freaking life if you could have made it happen.
Yeah.
Than just do it, fail in it, and then move on, or you know, readjust and pivot and then make
Right.
it work. But for me, it's a scarier thought to wonder the rest of my life than to just try, fail, and know it didn't work. By the way, we've only talked about my successes. I've probably started about 30, I shouldn't say businesses because then we're not like filed LLCs, but I had 30 ideas
Right.
that I've tried in business. And a lot of them were actual LLCs. And probably a dozen of them cost me a lot of money and failed miserably.
Right.
But out of the 30 I tried, 3 or 4 have worked.
Right.
That's made me a multimillionaire.
Right.
And so as far as just being transparent, I have failed 10 times more than I've ever succeeded.
Yeah.
But like I said, 3 or 4 big successes I've had have more than made up for all the failures and put
Yeah.
millions of dollars in my checking account.
Right.
And I don't know any entrepreneur out there that has only had success.
Yeah.
Most of them have failed more than they've succeeded. But you only see Elon Musk owning Tesla or being the CEO of Tesla, because publicly traded, I guess you don't own it, but whatever. Tesla and SpaceX and all this guys.
Yeah.
But you don't see the million things he's done on a side hustle that fell on its face.
Yeah. That's something I was actually talking about in my story the other day with social media. Because obviously, it's social media, everybody wants to put out the highlights. Everyone's going to put what makes their page look, you know, aesthetically appealing. Mm-hmm. And I was actually on my story the other day, because I just got a Tesla the other day, and then I moved into the house like a week before that. And I was like, man, a lot of you guys are seeing my stuff. Like, you're young, and you're like, oh my God, you know, Josh, you know, keeps leveling up. He's got the house, he's got the car. It seems like he doesn't stop leveling up. I'm like, you guys are just seeing what's on my social media. I was like, you know, don't be fooled. Like, there's times I'm staying up all fucking night, you know, trying to make a business work, and it doesn't work. There's times I'm losing money. There's times, you know, my merchant account gets screwed up, and I can't, you know, process any payments, and I miss out on hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, there's a lot of L's. It's just I'm not necessarily going on my social media and saying like, hey guys, you know, I fucking have a few $100,000 locked up today, and I'm, you know, pretty much screwed over. And so and the reason why is, you know, not because I'm trying to necessarily hide my losses, but more because I'm trying to focus on, you know, how I can improve, focus on the, you know, the solutions, and put my energy, you know, towards the positive, you know, because otherwise, you know, a lot of people will come on, and if they're like, man, if he's failing, like, I can relate, but if he keeps saying that, he keeps saying that, like, this shit must actually be really tough, you know, and I think it scares a lot of people. I think, and also as well too, man, especially in the e-commerce space, a lot of people, they see these kids on YouTube or, you know, whoever's in the space, you know, making videos, how I made, you know, $20,000 my first month online, how I made $100,000 my first 90 days online. And, you know, some of these kids, they actually are doing that. And some people see it, so they get started, and they see, you know, nothing near that, or they spend a couple $100 or a few $1,000 and they lose it, you know, on advertising. And they're like, maybe this is not for me. You know, maybe this won't work. When in reality, even though that guy's saying, you know, he made $100K first 90 days, he's probably been learning and trying it, or has some sort of mentor for the last 2 years or the last 18 months or something like that.
Dude, that's like being overweight, going to the gym twice and saying, I haven't lost any weight, so this doesn't work.
Right.
It's progress. Write this down if you guys are in a place to write stuff down. Progress, not perfect. That is a huge theme for my entire company this year, is progress, not perfect. And just one step, towards success. But to your point, a good analogy I've heard is Olympic medalists. Yeah, Josh was just talking about how you guys see the tests on the house, but you don't see the 3 a.m. nights panicking because his merchant account's locked up. A lot of people see athletes in the Olympics getting a gold medal, and you assume you see them do the race, win the gold medal, and that was the end of it. But you don't see how many pulled muscles they had along the way, how many birthdays they missed because they were up on the ski slopes practicing or in the pool swimming or whatever their sport is, right? Like how many weddings they missed, how many times their buddies went out on a Friday night to go party, but they were training. And it's like, yeah, they get that 3-minute moment of glory on the podium with their gold medal, listening to their national anthem of whatever country they're from. That 3 minutes of glory represents an entire lifetime of sacrifice, pulled muscles, broken bones, like whatever it was, depending on their sport, to get to that podium. And being an entrepreneur is just like being an Olympic athlete. You see Gary Vee, Tai Lopez, yourself, all these guys that are doing well, but you don't see the late night frustrations. Dude, I had some sleepless nights recently just because I'm in a lawsuit right now. Someone stole a lot of money from my wife and I.
Oh, shit.
I've never had to sue anyone in my life. I'm a lover, not a fighter. But this guy stole a lot of money from us, like a lot.
Right.
And in California, you only have a 2-year statute of limitations, and it happened 2 years ago. So we were sending demand letters and trying to be threatening, and my attorney literally said, if you don't sue him, you're going to run out of time.
Right.
Because as long as the lawsuit's filed, it could take 50 years, hopefully not. But if you don't file the lawsuit, you only have 2 years to settle this, if that makes sense. So I had to sue this guy, and dude, my attorney fees are like $15,000 a month, and it's like, I'm having to spend, I'm like at $70-something thousand right now of attorney's fees to try to get my money back.
Wow.
And we're going to destroy this guy because you can't wire transfer and like steal someone's money online without it in court. But like, I'm having sleepless nights because it's a waste of time and it's a waste of money. And so it's like, I don't talk about that on social media much because I don't like necessarily suing people, but if you steal hundreds of thousands of my dollars, you bet your ass I'm going to sue you.
Right.
And so it's just like, for everyone having realistic expectations, and I know those of you that are already in your businesses, you're just like, preach, you guys get it. But for maybe some of you that are on the outside looking in, if you get in and like Josh said, you lose a few $100s with advertising, so what? That's like being overweight and just being sore at your first workout. Like, you got to stick with it. Then all of a sudden your body adjusts. You don't get sore. Then all of a sudden you lose the weight, and then you get the results. The same is true with being an entrepreneur. You've got like this risk tolerance, and I'm used to losing money because I know that I might lose $50,000 to figure out how to make $1 million.
Yeah.
And I don't get scared losing that $50,000 because I know that it's just progress, not perfect, and then all of a sudden something will hit and make it all worth it.
Right. So somebody asked, they said, where did you find mentors when you started? Like, who was kind of like a mentor to you?
I guess it depends on my season. I've had 2 seasons of business. The first season where I made a lot of money and then lost out in this last season. But as far as business mentors, I would say in this last season, really Than Merrill's who changed the game for me. I spoke a lot for him in the real estate game. He owns a company called Fortune Builders. You've probably heard his ads on Pandora or the radio or on TV. But guy's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, makes hundreds of millions of dollars a year.
Wow.
And he was my mentor. Right when I got to Mexico, I just flipped like 1 or 2 houses and was just this scatterbrained 26-year-old. And he took me underneath his wing. And I talked to him every single Wednesday for an hour. So 2 days from now, I'll be on the phone with him for an hour, and have since 2012.
Yeah.
And that mentorship, I would say, has made the biggest impact in my entire entrepreneurial space. He's there to mentor me in real estate, but I've learned a lot about leadership. Mm-hmm. I've learned a lot about just business operations, biz dev type stuff. Like just watching him, somebody taught me not everything is taught, some things are caught. And so he's teaching me real estate strategy, but I'm catching how he leads.
Right.
And I'm catching how he solves business problems. And I'm realizing that he's just a really high-paid decision maker and problem solver.
Yeah.
Like, he has such great management and such great employees that he's just at the top floating around solving problems and making decisions. And that type of top-down leadership I've learned so much from. So I would say Than Merrill. Google the guy. He went to Yale. Like, he's like probably really a genius. I'll bet you his IQ is like 150 at least. Wow. And just proximity to that guy, the fact that I talk to him an hour a week, every week, always, and then train with him in person a couple of times a year is he's been the biggest impact in business.
I feel like another thing too with people in the social media space is everyone thinks like they need to find a mentor to like walk on like a direct mentor, like somebody's gonna like hold their hand to get them to where they want to be.
I'm glad you said that. That made me think of something else. A great mentor of mine has also been Henry Ford.
Right.
Who died way before I was born.
Yeah.
And so, to Josh's point, a lot of people are like, well, Cole, good for you meeting Than Merrill. I don't know Than, and I don't have money to pay him to mentor me. I get mentorship from Gary Vaynerchuk, right? I mean, he's my friend. I've not paid him $1 to mentor me, but he puts out so much free content, and it's actually really good content.
Right.
I don't agree with everything Gary says. I don't think any of us should always agree with anyone we look up to. We should have our own brains and make our own decisions. But a lot of the content that comes out of on his podcast especially is really great. So to Josh's point, for those of you that are just getting started and can't even afford a mentor, there's so much free information out there right now with podcasts like this, Facebook and Instagram Lives and all that stuff. That like technically right now we're your mentors.
Yeah.
Like if you're watching this and actually not just jogging at the gym or half-assing it and your phone's just in the background, but you're actually like watching right now and paying attention, you should get some things here to apply in your life.
Right.
And I think that's another good thing too is not everyone's a perfect mentor in every area of life. I think a lot of people are looking for the superhuman that's like your life mentor, your business mentor, your relationship mentor, but it's like I'll pick and choose depending on who the person is, what it is I want to learn from them.
Right,
and
traits.
I'll only learn from people who are where I want to be.
Yeah.
I was just having this conversation with my trainer this morning. My trainer's freaking jacked. He's got like an 8-pack. And there's another trainer, God bless his heart, at the gym who's probably 40 pounds overweight.
Yeah.
And I elbowed my trainer and I was like, I don't want to be mean to this guy, but why does anyone pay him to train them when his clients actually look better than he does?
Yeah.
I want to pay someone who looks like I want to look.
Right.
Now, let's just say my trainer is great physically, but maybe he's brand new in business. I would go to my trainer for workout and meal planning, but I wouldn't go to him for financial advice.
Right.
I would go to a guy like Than.
Right.
And then let's say I wanted marriage advice. I would go to the guy that's been married for 50 years, not the guy that's been divorced 5 times because he's been married the most.
Yeah.
And so another thing while we're on the topic of mentors is I've never found one man or one woman that could teach me everything. I just pick someone who is where I want to be in that specific category. So back to the trainer, I would love to have an 8-pack and be 5% body fat like my trainer is. So he's who I'm going to pay to get physical fitness advice. I would love to make hundreds of millions of dollars a year. So Than Merrill's where I'm going to get my business advice.
Right.
And I would love to be married to my wife until I die. My parents have been together for 46 years. So lucky for me, I go to my dad for relationship advice if my wife and I disagree, because it's hard being husband, wife, mom and dad, and co-founders of businesses.
Right.
Right? We have children together. We have our own marriage, the two of us, and then we also run 7-figure businesses together.
Right.
And so there's some times where we just aren't jiving, like any relationship.
Right.
And I could pull my dad, who's been with my mom for 46 years, and just be like, Dad, what would you do? And so that's super important. 2 takeaways from what we just shared. Number 1, mentors don't have to be someone that you're in a formal contractual engagement with where you're compensating them. You can just absorb information. That's mentorship, like me with Henry Ford. But then number 2, you might have multiple mentors in your life in various categories you want to get better in. And so make sure you're only learning from people who are where you want to be. I can't tell you how many times I'll be speaking on stage at like a 3-day event and I'll teach day 1. And then day 2, someone will come back and they'll be like, hey, Cole, my buddy Bob at home disagrees with what you said about real estate. And I'll be like, oh, what does Bob do? And they're like, oh, he's unemployed. He lives on my couch. It's like, well, why are you taking financial advice from Bob? The dude's unemployed and lives on your couch. Well, he watches CNN all day, so he knows. It's like, no offense to Bob, don't take financial advice from people who are more broke than you are.
Right. Yeah.
Period.
Makes sense. So I'm seeing people, you're talking about events and stuff like that. When it comes to events, what are your biggest takeaways? Because personally for me, I met business partners at events. I met mentors at events. We both recently just got back from 10X. I met a fuck ton of people out there that I'm getting connected with and I'm talking to, or want to get on the podcast. What have been your biggest takeaways? Like what's one crazy thing that came from an event?
That's just it. Relationships. So I just went to 10X. I was only in Florida for 25 hours. I landed Thursday at 8 p.m. I took off Friday at 9 p.m. And it's a 3-day event, right? Just ended yesterday. I was home at 3 a.m. Saturday night. It's Friday night, whatever it is, 3 a.m. But I only go to events for relationships. Like, if I own my own event, right? Thrive. And when I have Gary Vee on stage or Ed Milet, or like this year we've got Andy Frisella who's going to be there and a bunch of others. What they say on my stage, if I listen to all their podcasts and all their YouTube videos and follow them on Instagram and listen to all their stories, I'm going to get everything they're saying for free on their podcasts.
Right.
So the reason I pay to go to events, especially like Grant Cardone, he's a good friend of mine. I text the guy probably 3 days a week. We talk like 2 or 3 times a month.
Right.
Right. It's not like I'm a daily friend. Like, hey, G, how's your day going? But like, we are in regular contact.
Right.
So why would I go and pay to go to his event? I've heard everything Grant has to say.
Right.
It's because he brought 30,000 people there, and we were all jamming. I went out to lunch with Stuman. I don't get to see him a lot.
Right.
And I was intentional when I got there about the people I needed to meet and see. And I literally probably only saw 11 minutes of 10X because I was in the halls or off-site at a restaurant meeting with all the people.
Right.
So the great thing about events is it brings people from all over the world to one spot at one time. And so if you have intention and you don't just float around, but you're like, gotta meet Josh, gotta meet Stuman, gotta meet Tai, and you just boom, 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 boom. Dude, with one day, I had like 11 meetings that from people who I don't see regularly, like
Right.
Stuman, for instance, talking about your guys' M3 event, and then flew home. So long answer, but I'm trying to be thorough. Go to events to learn stuff, sure, but it's really about the networking because you can learn for free on YouTube.
Yeah.
Why do you want to pay to hear maybe the same stuff that Tai says at my events that he says on his YouTube channel?
Right.
Because Tai and Andy and all the guys I have speak at my events bring badasses like Josh and others, and then you get the chance to meet these guys and collaborate.
Yeah, not to mention if you just pick up maybe even one nugget.
Yeah,
You know,
one
one
nugget,
nugget
sure.
that, changes your entire business or etc. Even when I was out there, sometimes I go to so the last few years I didn't go to much events. And then about the last 6 months of 2018, I was like, yo, I'm gonna start going to more events. I'm gonna, try to network with more people. Because before I was just, doing my own grind, on my own hustle. And it's crazy. The last 6 months of networking and going to events, I met like literally out of the probably the 10, 15, really influential people I met. Mm-hmm. I had 6-figure deals or 5-figure deals, or collaborated on a business, or they introduced me to somebody that paid me for consulting,
100%.
and I made a ton more money. And not to mention, just met a ton more people.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, man. I was like, I've been missing out by not going to events, other people's events. I did my own, but I was like, I really realized like how important it is. So this year I plan on going to a bunch of events. I just got back from 10X as well. And I tell people, I try to encourage people to try to go to events now, but don't try to maybe do too much at the event.
That's what I was going to say. Okay, I was going to say too many events. So there's a fine line because I call them seminar junkies,
Right.
where I'll meet someone at Thrive, and they'll be like, Thrive's the best conference in the world. I'm like, thanks, man. He's like, and I know because I go to all of Tony Robbins, all of, what's his name, Brendan Burchard's, all blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, whoa. Like, when do you ever get around to working? Like,
Yeah.
you're just like a professional seminar junkie. You just,
Right.
like, literally go to a new event every weekend. So there's a balance of, yes, you're going to want to go to 11 events. So I try to do one a quarter. I try
Right.
to do 4 events a year. And that's just because I also host 11 of my own. And at my own events, it's the same concept, where even though I'm the host of the event, I'm getting 1,500 people to come to me. So
Yeah.
I go to about 4 events a year that aren't my own, plus the 11 of my own I do. So maybe 15 events a year, which sounds like a lot, but the 11 where I'm hosting them, and you'll see this as you start doing more and more events, when you're the quote-unquote man or the woman, the networking's the best because everyone comes to you.
Right.
So when I show up to 10X, I got to like network. When I'm hosting my own event, everyone comes at me because it's my
Right.
event. It's my
Yeah.
face on the wall. And so for those of you that are in the position to do so, I do recommend doing some events, even if it's only 30 people for free at the first one. When you're the host or hostess, for the ladies out there that own your own or produce your own event, you are now the icon of that gathering.
Right.
And they'll just be in a line to ask you a questions, take a selfie or whatever it is.
Right.
And if you just take a picture, hey, chi, and then put it online, you've missed an opportunity to be like, so who are you and what do you do?
Right.
And so I think the best value I get in networking are my own events because everyone knows who I am because they're at my event.
Yeah.
And they want to talk to me, so it's easy for me to be in one spot and learn who does what.
Right.
And man, I've got an 8-figure business that I started with a guy that I met at Thrive number 2. He was a random paying attendee in the audience who was just there, bought himself a VIP ticket. Then he bought my mastermind. So
Right.
then I got a chance to meet him in person. And then he bought a VIP day with me. And in that one-on-one VIP day is where I learned about his business. And I told him what he needed to do to fix it. And it like blew his mind. And then he was like, wait a minute, let's just do that together.
Right.
Because long story short, he's in Canada and his business provides a service for Americans doing real estate.
Right.
And I'm an American doing real estate. So my knowledge is something that he didn't have. His technology and his platform is something I didn't have. I told him what he needed to do, and he's like, let's just do it together.
Yeah.
That's going to be an 8-figure business.
Wow.
With someone who's now a dear friend of mine, but was a random paying attendee stranger at Thrive number 2.
Right.
And that guy came up to me, invested in FaceTime with me to get out of the crowd and one-on-one with me. And now we're going to do 8 figures.
Wow. You know,
That's gross sales, by the way, not each, but it's an 8-figure business.
I tell people too, some like networking advice for events is like not to try to like sell yourself too hard the first time. You know, like repetition kind of beats, you know, seeing somebody multiple times, you know, meeting them and like, hey, remember I saw you at the last event or something like that. Because I get a lot of, you probably get it all the time too, but I get a lot of people, they come up to me in an event and, you know, we talk to hundreds and, you know, 1,000 plus people over the course of a weekend. So they just come up and they're like, I can do this, I did this, and I did like random, like, you know, kind of smashing it down your throat. And it's just like very overwhelming to try to sell themselves. And, you know, instead of it being very genuine, you know?
I call them emotional vampires.
Emotional vampires.
They just come up and just like suck you dry.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, I mean, there's a balance. And it's a skill like anything else. I guess networking is a skill now that I think about it. And there's, I'm sure, a lot of content out there on how to network well or whatever. But yeah, there's a skill set there. And so I'm a huge fan of free content like this. You guys aren't paying to be on Josh's Live right now. But you also don't get to meet us.
Right.
And, you know, right now there's 102 of you live. You're not meeting the other 101 people that are live right now.
Right.
And so imagine having this type of content to curate thoughts and conversation, but then you're in a room of 102 people, not on a Facebook Live or whatever this is, Instagram Live, where you get to talk to us, plus the other 101 people that are learning with you. That's where events become powerful.
Right, right. So, yo, for you guys that are watching this right now, Cole's actually going to be speaking at my event, March 9th, March 10th, the M3 Accelerator Summit. I'm actually co-hosting it with the hardcore closer, who he's been calling Stu Man this whole time. You Stu Man go pretty back, or?
Yeah, so Stu Man and I, he targeted me on Facebook, and for like 2 months, every time I was on Facebook, I see him in my face doing his hardcore closer. So then I kind of looked at him, I was like, hey, I'm in sales, right? I've sold over 100 million from stage. This guy's called Hardcore Closer. Maybe there's an opportunity for us to jive in some capacity. And so I like audited his social media and his website, and I was like, I'm like, keep this guy in the back of my mind for a rainy day.
Right.
Then one random month, I get a DM on Instagram from Hardcore Closer. It was before Thrive number 3, I believe, or 4. And he said, hey, dude, I've been following your stuff. Love your content. I'm going to come to Thrive this year. Just wanted to reach out and let you know I'm coming.
Oh, cool.
And I was like, I wrote him back. I was like, dude, I've seen you before because you targeted the crap out of me on your ads. Let's connect. And then we ended up both speaking at an event. I forget if it was Billie Jean's or I forget what event we spoke at, but we were both speakers, so that's where we got to meet for the first time. We were like DM buddies on Instagram, and then we get to meet in person. And he's a bro. His name's Ryan Stuman, so I just call him Stuman. You all call each other your handles on Instagram, which mine's Cole Hatter, so that's easy. Just call me Cole Hatter. But and so then Stuman and I became friends, and I think it was you first that told me about the M3, but any excuse to go to Vegas, I'm fired up. And so it sounds like it's going to be a great event. And I know all of your speakers are all my friends, right? Like from Steve to Chase to Dan to obviously you two. And so it should be a beefy lineup and great value.
No, 100%. So what are you going to be talking about for the people that are attending? Like, what are they going to learn? What's going to be the biggest takeaway?
So what I'm most excited to talk about right now is how I lost everything last recession, what I did wrong, and what I'm going to do differently this one. For any of you that were watching the market in the fourth quarter of last year, things got scary. Now it's mellowed out right now, but if you listen to Gary Vee or anyone like him, they just don't stop talking about this upcoming downturn. And the way our economy, this is nothing about Trump or our current administration, but the way the economy works is it goes up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. It always has, it always will. But what's really crazy is it's a zero-sum economy. And so in an economic downturn, if you don't understand what zero-sum is, it's like a game of poker. No more money gets in, it just moves people. And so you all sit down, you've all got $10,000 worth of chips, there's 5 of you, and then he wins. He's got 50,000 chips, we've got 0, but it's the same 50,000 chips that the game started with. So that's an example of what zero-sum is obviously you could say people could buy in. Let's ignore that for a second and just say the same amount of chips at the end of the game as when the beginning of the game started, but we all lost them and he ended up with all of them. And that's the way our economy works. It's a zero-sum game where when Americans are losing money because it's an economic downturn, other Americans are winning that money. And I'm not sitting on the sidelines waiting to make a fortune off the backs of somebody else's losses, but you either win or lose. There's no in between. And so I lost in the last economy, and I've spent the last 10 years getting ready for this one. So what I'm going to talk about is not doom and gloom, conspiracy theorists, oh, the Illuminati are going to come and take us, and all those wankers that are out there on the line online. But I'm going to talk about what entrepreneurs do in this. It's going to be the largest shift of wealth. It's called the wealth shift in the history of America. And a wealth shift means that millions of people are going to lose thousands of dollars, and thousands of people are going to make billions, if that makes sense. So let me say that again. Millions of Americans will lose thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. Thousands of Americans will make billions, if that makes sense. And so there's more money to be made. So I'm going to just talk about my own journey and warn people, because I was 24 years old going into the last recession. I lost everything. This time I'm going to get 10 times richer. I know how, and that's what I'm going to teach your audience is, hey, you don't need to run for the hills. I'm not trying to scare you.
Right.
But there's stuff you want to do right now to prepare. Whether we have a recession in 2019, 2020, 2021, whenever it comes, it will. It has to. That's the way our economy works. And when it does, you can be prepared to not lose, but win 10 times bigger. Because guess what's on sale in a down economy? Whether it's a recession, depression, or just a correction. Guess what's on sale? Everything.
Right.
Everything. Houses, apartment buildings, strip malls, commercial buildings. Everything's on sale. So if you know how to stay liquid, like in your e-commerce store, you can now buy properties for 30 cents on the dollar, and what sold for $10 million in 2017, you can now buy for $4 million in 2021.
Right.
And then that same building you just bought for $4 million, used to be worth 10, will be worth $16 million in the next upswing, and you got it for 4.
Right.
And you did that 10 times. And now you're freaking done in your 30s, 40s, or however old you all are.
Right.
And so that's what I'm going to talk about at your event. It's actually the first time I'll ever talk about it in stage. Normally people always want me to talk about sales or real estate investing or whatever, but when I was talking to Stu, I was like, dude, I can teach people how to get stupid rich instead of losing. And so that's what my keynote's going to be about. And it's not fluff. It's not like just write your goals down and think real hard and through the law of attraction you'll make it. Hell no.
Yeah.
It's like the tactical step-by-step what you're going to want to do.
Right. So yeah, I mean, someone just commented right now. They said, the poor get poor. That's like the type of things that separate why poor get poor and the rich get richer. The rich have the information, the knowledge, the strategies, and the know-how, the resources to make it happen.
Right. I hear comments like that, like, oh, the rich get richer and the poor get poor. It's true. So you're either going to be rich or poor. You decide. Right? Like a lot of people use that as a negative, and I don't know the context. Maybe he was just commenting, or maybe he's being negative or positive. I don't know, or she. I don't even know what happened there. But a lot of people will say, screw this, the rich just get richer and the poor just get poor. You know what? That statement is a fact. So you've got to make a decision.
Right.
Are you going to be a rich getting richer or poor getting poorer, bitching about it?
Right. And the only reason, people get to the rich side is because they found that information. They found the knowledge. They had the know-how. They put in the work. And they put themselves on that side of the scale, which allowed them to get richer and, create that opportunity.
Here's what I'm going to say. I don't create this economy. I just live in it. I can't do anything about the fact that the rich do get richer and the poor do get poor. I didn't write the Constitution. I'm not a politician. I just live here. But it is a fact that the rich do get richer and the poor do get poor. So you could choose to be on the poor side and bitch about it and complain and blame your boss and blame your banker and blame everybody. Or you could decide to be on the rich side, right? So I'm not saying screw poor people, sucks for you, I'm going to steal your money. I would never do that. I give most of my money away to charity. What I'm saying is that's the way our economy works. So if you've been on the losing end, stop bitching about it and complaining and get on the winning end, because I'm not writing the script. I'm just playing the game.
Right.
And that's super important, because I hear that all the time. Oh, rich just get richer. Okay, well then stop being on the poor end. Just get richer.
Yeah, I like that.
It's your call, right? I mean, we're all born the same way. You made a decision. How long have you been in business now?
Well, with the internet stuff on a large scale, probably about 2.5, 3 years.
Okay, so what were you doing 5 years ago?
5 years ago, I was buying things wholesale from China and reselling it to kids at my school.
Okay, cool. So you were making a third, a fifth. How much money compared to now? You don't need to give me numbers, but what percentage were you making back then to now?
Fuck, dude. Probably 100th, honestly.
Okay.
I mean, I was making good money back then. I bought my first car cash for $14,000 at 15, but I'm only 20 now, so.
Okay, so check this out. He's making 100 times more money now because he made a decision, right? And so you can... The world of, oh, I'm skinny, I'm fat, I'm black, I'm white, I come from the wrong part of the tracks. Dude, the internet is the ultimate equalizer. It doesn't matter whether you have a college degree, whether you have a doctorate, what color your skin is, who you pray to, whether you're gay or straight. None of that matters if you know how to use the internet.
Right.
None of that matters, honestly. If you're selling freaking water bottles or koozies online and people are like, oh, I'm going to buy this koozie to keep my beer cold. Oh my gosh. the guy that owns this store is Catholic and I'm a Muslim. Screw it, I won't buy that koozie. Like, nobody cares anymore.
Yeah.
Corporate America still has prejudice. There's no denying that. Depending on what you look like or who you pray to or who you love and are married to or whatever, you still can have doors closed. And that's corporate America. Screw corporate America, right? And I feel for minorities and women who don't have the equal pay and all that stuff. But women, this isn't corporate America. Minorities, this isn't corporate America. You can do anything you want now because of the internet. It's about your education, being self-taught, not saying going to school and getting a degree, but learning stuff like this and then using the internet. Nobody cares if you're, again, whatever your demographic is, it's meaningless now. And so someone who's 20 years old can decide to start businesses and ball out of control, or can decide to go to college and come out hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loan debt, or decide to work at McDonald's and say the rich get rich and the poor get poor and bitch about it. It's just a decision. And so what I would encourage everybody out there to do that's watching this right now, whether it's the live on Instagram or the recording in that camera right there, is take all that energy of feeling sorry for yourself, complaining about what you don't have and he does or I have or whatever, and put all that energy into learning something online, whether it's running a digital marketing agency. That's where I make a lot of my money online. I'm not in the e-com space very much, but I will be. It's mostly just selling my own stuff. That's funny. Here's my digital marketing business partner right here. But I just sell my own swag for my own clothes. I don't sell like regular e-commerce stuff, but I will this year. It's actually something we're going to add. But for me, I figured out how to run guys who are in e-commerce's campaigns to get them like freaking 40x returns. ROAS is through the roof. And so that's my space of making money online. You can put all the negative energy of feeling sorry for yourself, and I hope I'm talking to like nobody of your followers, but they're out there somewhere. And all that energy of being sad and mad and blaming and all that crap, reallocate that towards studying, start a business online, whether it's e-commerce or digital marketing or whatever it is that you want to do online, even online consulting. And then freaking the internet is infinitely scalable once you figure out Facebook ads and you know, your cost per acquisition and then what your actual profit is, and just scale to hit your bell curve.
Right. Cool. All right, guys. So we're gonna wrap it up pretty soon. If you guys got a lot of value, go ahead and comment, fire emojis right now, and give @ColeHatter a follow. I put it on my story. I tagged him, and you can see it too if you click see more on the pinned comment. And if you guys want to see and hear Cole, meet Cole in Las Vegas, March 9th, March 10th. Be at the M3 Accelerator Summit. The link is in my bio. It's a crazy deal going in right now. I'm giving away the free ATM franchise licensing. I'm giving away the X-Commerce training. And I think I'm doing a one-on-one call for anybody that is MVP for 15 minutes. Give you some advice on how to grow your Instagram, personal branding. So go ahead, click the link in the bio, send the pinned comment, and buy your ticket for this event. Come meet Cole. Come learn, how to actually succeed in the next economic recession and not be on the losing side. Because whether you're making a ton of money right now or you're not, you still need this information, because 2, 3 years, 4 years, however long it takes, it's eventually going to happen, and it's better that you learn it now than have to, regret it later when you're on a, losing downfall. So go ahead, guys. Like I said, comment fire emojis if you guys got value. Follow Cole and come meet Cole in Las Vegas, March 9th, March 10th. And any final words?
We got a lot of freaking fire right there. Dude, here's my final words. We just covered a lot of really good stuff. You've got to make a decision right now. Are you going to turn your phone off and just get back to doing whatever it is that you're doing? Or are you going to take maybe 30 seconds when this Instagram Live ends and at least implement one thing you've learned here? Whether it's getting a new mentor, paid or unpaid, or whether it's learning a little bit more about e-commerce or digital marketing or whatever it is. So my whole thing is, don't waste our time by just being entertained and then going on with your business.
Right.
Be educated. And so what I encourage all of you to do right now is take 20 to 30 seconds, reflect on something we said, and then actually do something about it. Because execution is the only difference between anybody out there. There's probably a lot of you that probably know more about online marketing and e-commerce than Josh does. But guess what? He's probably making more than you are, hypothetically, because he executes. And so don't just listen to this. Give us a little fire emoji and then go back to freaking surfing the internet or social media and doing nothing.
Right.
Write something down that you just learned and execute on it. That's my closing thoughts. We'll see you out in Vegas.
All right, guys. See you soon. The link is in the bio for those of you guys asking. M3accelerator.com. Get your tickets. We'll see you in Vegas. And I hope you guys got a lot of value. I will be posting the replay of this on YouTube, and I'll put the link on my social media. You guys can swipe up. You can watch it. Turn on post notifications. And go ahead and give @ColeHatter a follow.